Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is Gun Nation United. My name is Creator alongside with Guns here. And today we're going to talk about a very special topic. We're going to talk about Prince Zuko's, one of my favorite childhood characters. We're going to talk about his legendary weapons from when he was the Blue Spirit from Avatar the Last Airbender. And without further ado, we're going to talk about his broadswords. So let's just jump into this because I'm excited. Okay, so as everybody knows, during book one, when he was the Blue Spirit, he had these two dual broadswords. And as you know, we break it up where one of us talks about the anime/show and how they work there, and the other one does real life. So without further ado, we're just going to jump right into it. So the two dual broadswords, otherwise known as the twin broadswords, are two metal blades specifically designed to chop or slash that are to be considered as different parts of the same weapon. The swords are also used individually as single-edged blades and are known to be used in both the Earth Kingdom and the Fire Nation. So, just a little bit of brief history. From a young age, Zuko was trained in the art of sword fighting. Zuko retained information for the weapons and displayed a pair of these swords in the quarters of his ship. And while manifesting as the Blue Spirit, he used these swords to avoid having to rely on his firebending to attack or defend. However, these swords are also inadvertently gave away his secret identity to Admiral Zhao, who recognized the weapons displayed on Zuko's statement about them being decorations for his quarters. So, a little bit more about how they're designed. The broadswords are minorly curved and a single edge, though often with a few inches of the leading back edge sharp as well. The curve allows them to be reliably effective in the thrust. A core is usually wrapped around the wood of the handle. Hilts may also be pierced, and a single blade sword with additional layers. The dual broadswords also have specific sharp guards that allow both blades to be scrap barred. That's a little bit about it. It's dual swords. If you ever seen anything as far as fighting styles, martial arts, it's just dual swords and Zuko being a badass. So that's all I have for the actual anime. But before we pass off the guns, I would like to talk about a little bit of symbolism from the swords. Because as many of you know, we talk about weapons a lot on these, but these are very special. The Blue Spirit and all that saga, they have a lot of symbolism tying into it. So I just want to take a brief moment to talk about that for a bit, and then we'll pass it right along the guns. The biggest thing is, Zuko is undoubtedly one of the best characters and has the best character development, and not just Avatar, and in not just cartoons, but in all of cartoon, anime, any type of media at all. His redemption story, after rewatching it and finishing it the other day, truly struck a chord with not only me, but I know Guns as well. And It's really incredible. So after seeing that, what we both realized and analyzed, and probably the biggest thing, of course there's more symbolism, but the biggest one I wanted to get out of the way is you find out that Zuko is fighting two halves of themselves in book 3. When you find out the history of Avatar Roku and Zuko's great grandfather, and how, long story short, his great grandfather on one side was good and his great grandfather on the other side was bad. So he's got good and bad. He's got two swords, and they represent the good and the bad side of him because, as you know, throughout the series, he struggles to find his way because he's constantly, it's like having an angel and a demon inside you at the same time, and they're both clashing heads. So the fact that it's two swords and he's fighting with them really says something. And also, when he throws away his persona as the blue spirit, he's basically taken the first steps to throw away that side of him and take the path towards righteousness. Now, I know somebody's going to say, well, Creeder, well, Guns, he went off with Azula after he, betrayed his uncle, right after he threw away his persona, the blue spirit. And you're right, to an extent. He did betray his uncle, but the thing about it was, look at the way he was when he got home. He had everything he could ever ask for in the 3 years looking for the Avatar and getting banished. But the one thing he was missing was still happiness.
Yep.
So he wasn't happy. And he truly wasn't happy until he found his own way, as Uncle Iroh states throughout the series, and ends up finding his way and becoming Aang's One Piece, I dare say. Because even though the world building is basic compared to something like One Piece, it still stands up there just because of the way it's written and the way they do it. And undoubtedly, you can't say that the character development is bad. Granted, there's a couple cringe things, that happens, and a couple stuff I don't agree with, but with Zuko, you can't say that it's not amazing, well written, very well respected, very positive throughout the community. So, and it's a childhood show, and I love it so much. So that's without taking too much of your time, that's all I wanted to say on that. And Guns, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, these dual swords did exist and still does exist in some martial art practice. The earliest date that I could find was from the Shang Dynasty, and like Creator was saying, about the weapons, curved edge, the hilt, everything like that, the same. Of course, there's going to be different designs of it, but that's a basic design. Originally, bronze, these were made of iron or steel during the late Warring States period. Originally as common as a military weapon than the Jan, the dual Dao swords. Well, not the dual Dao swords in general, but the Dao sword, because it didn't make a single piece version. It was very popular with cavalry.
But the biggest thing I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take over Guns. I just want to make this point clear. The biggest thing to take away is, even though they do exist, and he's going to get back more into it. Even though they exist, I want you, the viewer, to understand that even though they do exist, as far as evidence will let us see, they're not common. Like, it's not common practice to use them in war. Again, as you said, it's only martial arts. It's not common for somebody to dual wield swords in battle. So.
Yep. I mean, there probably has been dual wielders, like hero dual wielders, became popular in stories. But as it being common, it's rare to see it in battle.
Mm-hmm. It's just not military effective, I guess, is a
Yeah.
good way to say it. And as he said, it's just not common. So
Yep.
anyway, guys, didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to point that home to the viewer.
All right. Well, after it became popular cavalry due to its sturdiness and superiority as a chopping weapon, it soon began to be issued by the infantry and began to replace the Jean as a standard issue weapon. So this right now we're talking about the single piece sword. That was standard issue. Of course, there was the dual swords, but of course, it being a very long time ago, and swords have become obsolete. There's not much history, especially since a long time ago, and the Chinese Empire changed a lot throughout history. That's all I got.
And that is, that's Zuko's weapon, Blue Spirit weapon. Rest in peace. So I think rewatching it, rewatching it was good. So I think that I think it's fair to say that I would love to do more videos on Avatar because there's so much. It's almost like the One Piece one we talked about. There's so much world building and characters, especially Zuko himself.
Yeah.
But
Well, actually, our subscribers comment down below if they want us to talk about Sokka's sword.
yeah.
Like if a sword could be actually made from meteorite.
That'd be an interesting one to talk about.
But
So
if you guys want us to talk about that, leave that in the comments below.
let us know. Didn't think about that one. See, why? That's the one thing you're good for, guns.
The one thing I'm good for, huh?
Yeah, that and getting me more beer. Which, by the way, if you don't have a beer in your hand already, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
So, anyway, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, weebs and whammon, send them home, guns. That's all I got.
All right. Well, this has been Gun Nation United. I've been Guns, and this is Crater.
AKA Trouble.
Yeah. Uh, as always, you gotta remember the number one rule in life: keep your beer cold and your ammo hot. And we'll see you next time.